Yo guys, what is up? And one of the biggest surprises of the 2011 sports year, to wrap it all up, Albert Pujols, a man who we all thought was headed back to the St. Louis Cardinals last night. When I woke up this morning, and I was sitting with AC and KJ in the one class we have, and we were on SI.com looking for an article because we needed it doesn't matter. We were looking at articles, and I clicked back to the homepage, and I just see breaking news: Albert Pujols signs with the Angels. My jaw dropped, and KJ and AC looked at it, and nothing had to be said. Albert Pujols is joining the Los Angeles Angels. Artie Moreno gets the job done. He is one of the best owners in baseball. And the Angels have had somewhat of a drought over the last few seasons. It's going to end. Albert Pujols will get a 10-year, $254 million contract with a full no-trade clause. Look, is it a stupid contract in the long run? Probably. But right now, you're getting one of the best players in baseball, or he's for sure the best player in baseball now. He's going to go, already he is one of the best players of all time, and he's only going to add to that legacy. He could be the home run king. It's not out of the possibility. He probably won't, but he'll hit 600 or 700 home runs. That's a draw. You're making yourself a team. And when I looked at what the Angels were doing this offseason, I'm like, they're going after C.J. Wilson. When you have a pretty good rotation, you got Jared Weaver, you got Dan Herons, Irvin Santana. They're going at, who will probably get traded by now, by the way. But why are they looking at pitching? And then I see this morning, and I said on Twitter last night, I did guess the Phillies the other night were the mystery team, but I said on Twitter last night the three teams are the Cubs, or I said that they were the Rangers, Cardinals, and Angels. So obviously it was the Cubs instead of the Rangers, but you get the point. Albert Pujols, I mean, this just shocked me. I thought it was a done deal, and I thought if he was going to go anywhere else, it would be Miami. But when I heard Miami pulled out, I thought, okay, he's going back to the Cardinals. That's cool to see. I think as far as the C.J. Wilson deal goes, they did overpay for C.J. Wilson. He's a good pitcher. He benefits real well for playing in the American League West, which he's still going to be in, obviously, but now he has to face the Rangers instead of an Angels offense that last year was, quite frankly, not very good. The Angels, to me, at this point, the rotation, especially if you're able to keep Irvin Santana, you got Irvin Santana, you got Weaver, who almost won a Cy Young last year, finished second. Dan Heron, who over the past 5 or 6 years, he's been one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball with the A's, Diamondbacks, and now the Angels. He has done a tremendous job. And you add C.J. Wilson to that. Did they overpay? Yes, they did. C.J. Wilson is a good pitcher, and they paid him to be very good. Whatever. Is he going to be the guy you're trotting out there game 1 in the playoffs? No. And they paid him to be the guy you're trotting out game 2, and he'll probably end up being the one in game 3. But all in all, the Angels went from being a 83-win team today to being a 95-win team. Adding Albert Pujols makes that much of a difference. The Cardinals' perspective now, they lose Albert Pujols. Reportedly, the deal they offered him last was for 9 years and under $200 million. As far as Cardinals ownership goes and front office, they screwed this one up. You should have had this guy locked up years ago. You should have said, look, we'll give you $22, $23 million a year a few years ago, got the deal done, and they didn't do it. So that part is on them. I don't feel bad one bit for the Cardinals front office or ownership. I feel real bad for the Cardinals fans because you're losing him in almost a LeBron-esque way. Obviously, there's no TV show an hour long on ESPN, but we get the point. Albert Pujols is a guy that they thought, we got him locked up. He's coming back 9 or 10 years. Last night, even this morning. I mean, maybe not in the Central. They might not have been awake yet, but they thought that they had this guy locked up. And then to see him go to the Angels, I feel bad for you. What's going to happen with the Cardinals at this point? One of two things. Either they'll sign someone like Prince Fielder or Carlos Pena to play first, or the more likely option is they're going to shift Lance Berkman into first base. Now, if you just do that, you base it off last year, and you take Albert Pujols off the team, but you gain Adam Wainwright back, you say, wow, we're not going to be as good, we're not going to win the World Series, but we can still contend. But But you think Lance Berkman didn't benefit from having this guy in the lineup? You think Matt Holliday hasn't benefited from having him in the lineup? This is a guy with 3 home runs in 1 World Series game. This is a guy who is one of the best players of all time, one of the best right-handed hitters that's ever played this game. And to take him out of that, I mean, I've heard Matt Holliday, I don't agree with this necessarily, but I've heard Matt Holliday say Albert Pujols is the greatest player that's ever lived. So if he has that high of praise for this guy, he must be doing something right. Albert Pujols, I don't understand how they allowed this one to get away. I really don't. The final thing I want to get to, and I'm planning to make a documentary, sort of music, and I can't have video, but I'll get some pictures and maybe some audio clips here and there. I gotta sneak it by the MLB Advanced Media, which is tough, of Albert Pujols' Cardinals career, ultimately leading up to him taking this 10-year deal to finish with the Angels. And look out for that in the next week or so. I'll probably do that this weekend if I get time, which I don't know if I will. The LeBron comparison is something I think people aren't talking about. But the way ESPN covered the LeBron thing, I looked at it and I said, wow, they're really out to get this guy. This is a guy who took less money to go win. Albert Pujols obviously has the championship, so that takes away a little bit of it. And he's coming off winning a ring, which is even more of a reason how can the Cardinals let this guy go. But he's coming off winning a ring, and now he's going to go somewhere for more money, way more money. And, you know, they might be a better team at this point, but does that necessarily mean that that was the right decision for Albert Pujols? I don't think it was. I really don't. I can tell you, honestly, if I'm Albert Pujols, I would have stayed with the Cardinals. People always say, oh, you would have taken the money. No, I wouldn't have taken the money. I would have stayed in the place that I've been my whole career, that I made my name for. 9 years, whatever million, 180 or 90 million. Come on. You're not going to do that? I just don't buy that. The LeBron comparison, I just think it's unfair the way the people treated LeBron James last year about this. And Albert Pujols is basically doing the opposite and more of a dirty thing. And I mean, I'm not going to kill Albert Pujols because I have no rooting interest in this whole thing. To be honest, I like seeing the big players change teams because that just shakes things up in baseball. And that's certainly something that's happened this offseason. But I would have taken the deal. And I don't think it's fair that this is just getting a pass. What I also don't think is fair is that Chris Paul trade rumors are dominating the story. Tim Tebow is dominating SportsCenter. Albert Pujols is one of the greatest players that has ever played the game of baseball. And he's switching teams for the next 10 years. How do you not have that 24/7? And then the last 3 minutes, oh yeah, Chris Paul might get traded to the Lakers, and yeah, Tim Tebow is getting overhyped. How do you not do that? I just don't get the coverage. Baseball's not America's sport. But you went on for 2 months, and more throughout the year, about LeBron James. And you're just not gonna. You're gonna act like Albert Pujols isn't that big of a deal. I don't get it. I don't get it. Either way, I always thought Albert Pujols would be a Cardinal going into the Hall of Fame. And regardless of what happens over the next 10 years, Albert Pujols, in my mind, will be a Cardinal going into the Hall of Fame that finished his career with the Angels. I'll see you guys later.